Yeah, what a, I've got this super cheesy smile on my face at the moment because that was probably one of the best weeks of trading that I've personally had in quite a while. It was extremely well needed, obviously, after the crazy market conditions we've had over these last 2 weeks. I really needed that. I'm in a great mood. Some of the messages I've been having from some of the members who have been saying that was one of their best trading days that they've ever experienced as well. That's awesome for me. This whole thing for me is always about sharing, and it's kind of about making sure that everyone profits. That's the aim of the game. There's always this competition between different groups, different traders, and in my mind, we're all kind of united against the markets. So I'm just really happy. So going over the sort of trade recap this week, this is the first video I'm going to be doing under Invest Beyond now. So I'm really excited about this project. Moving forward with my girlfriend Amali at the moment. She's handling all the marketing. She's doing a fantastic job, all the content creation. And we're really excited to kind of see the evolution of all of this and see how far we can take it and see how much content we can produce for you guys. So going over the overview this week, we're obviously going to look at 1,450 pips roughly. Still got quite a few runners going, which we'll look at when we look at the charts. But those type of weeks, they're great. So let's kind of just jump into the charts now. We're going to look at everything, look at all the losses, look at all the wins. Just a reminder that the main catalyst in the market this week, just so we can put a bit of context to everything that's going on. If you haven't watched any of my older videos, obviously, the market's been rallying extremely hard recently on risk on. It seems investors were kind of driving on sort of hope and optimism in the market. And also, obviously, with the economies opening up. But moving into the Q2 data that's been released recently, we're getting a lot of data that's coming out worse than expected, even on the back of sort of their consensus of what they thought was going to be worse, So it's kind of showing that this could have been a massive pump before another dump. It may bounce around a little bit when we're looking at equities, looking at the Dow and the S&P. But to be honest, when the Fed dropped that sort of nuke on their dovish outlook of everything to come, investors obviously, they thought it's time to take some profits. Everything was extremely overcooked. Anything that was related to commodity pairs, we're looking at our Aussies, our Kiwis, our CADs. These currencies were all so overextended that we really just needed that little catalyst in the market to kind of create either the sentiment of fear or just say, okay, you know what, let's take some profits here. Let's wait till conditions clear up a little bit more, and then we may see some bounces again. So don't know how long-term these moves are, just keeping that in mind. But yeah, so the Fed basically said they're going to keep interest rates around what they are now, keeping them the same up until 2022. That's crazy, to be honest with you. That's massive. Initially, we saw markets rally on this. But then obviously when Powell was talking about the unemployment rates and how he was projecting them to kind of just, be shit, excuse my French. But, that just sent a lot of fear down the market. So what we're going to do is we'll just dissect everything. We'll look at everything now. And but yeah, let's jump into it, guys. So I'm just going to minimize myself, get myself nice and small here. And there we go. Perfect. All right, cool. So obviously, first superstar pair for the week was our Aussie yen. Pretty basic here. So, what we saw on the Aussie yen, we got a 4-hour. This was a huge resistance mark. Obviously, coming up here in the rally leading up to it. And then we had this massive surge, a massive breakthrough. And, we never got that retest of this level here. So that's one thing to keep in mind, that this could just be our retest before some further continuation. So I took profits on this one personally. You can see from our last low here, when we draw our Fibonacci up to our peak high here, we've bounced off the 50 fib. So technically, this is still bullish, people. Just keep that in mind. It is completely bullish all the way up until, oh, that's wrong. You'll obviously land. It is bullish up until, in my mind, these zones here break. So if we break these fib levels here and, you know, we start challenging these lows, then, you know, we could be looking at a potential reversal for sure on Aussie. Don't think that's going to happen, personally, because, you know, there's still quite a little bit of downside potential here. And we see how, when we look at UCAD later on and everything, how these sort of extreme Fibonacci levels become extremely, you know, these are targets basically. When you're looking at high net worth traders or anyone who's smart money, you know, they're looking to enter trades on these levels here purely because they're going to get their lowest risk to highest reward, really. So whenever you're using Fibonacci's, you know, the 50 is a good barrier. I use the 50 fib as kind of a barometer for if it's bearish or if it's bullish by if it's holding that fib. If we get a breakdown and it's rejecting the backside of here and it's not holding, we could potentially be seeing more downside then. And that would be sort of a trigger for that. So we can see for next week, if we wanted to like look at this for a sell opportunity, you know, we're going to have to be careful because you can see if we close actually where we're closing now, looking at the daily, you know, we've broken this, you know, we're technically just retesting this broken trend line here. We've come all the way up here to retest this huge weekly trend line. And now we're simply just potentially retesting this breakout. Although, you know, let me just get across. What I always do say is, if you're looking for a retest, it's often going to be rounded. Like I said, you know, I'd rather have seen it move a little bit slowly down, retest. This is quite a sharp sell-off. Usually when stuff works like that, it's indicative there's going to be a false break. But we have to kind of just wait to see if we do break below and close below this support line here, then, you know, we could be looking for some more downside. But, you know, in these sort of areas, we've got to play it, whether we're going to see a break and retest. That was really the Aussie yen trade. Super annoying because we took this trade here. If we just held this one, 320 pips easy. We took profits here for 100. We had this bounce back. We were trading in this sort of this little wedge pattern here on the 1 hour. I entered the first trade. I entered our stops way. Just change this. The second trade we entered. You know, I had the stops for 5.8. Super annoying because obviously, you know, that sell got stopped out to the pip, came back in, and then we re-entered on the third sell once we saw the break of that lower sort of trend line on the wedge. But yeah, that was the Aussie yen. Quite a good trade. Pretty happy with that. So I mean, in total on that pair, we netted, you know, 330 pips anyway. So we caught the whole move. We just took this frustrating stop loss in between, but you know, not the end of the world. At least we didn't miss. Aussie New Zealand. This didn't work. So looking to buy. You know, it looked like it's kind of an actually. You know what? I drew a trend line there. So I had a breaking there. You know, we had it sort of bouncing around these fib levels. And then, like I said, you know, these levels didn't hold. So same such a scenario with AJ. Like I said, these fib levels, these extreme fib levels are quite key. So, you know, that didn't work. That was a flop. So that was that loss. Not too bad. AU, same situation. We got stopped out on this one. I'm not quite sure where I tried to sell it. I just deleted it. But anyway, we probably tried to sell it here. We got stopped out here, or we tried to sell it too low here. Again, you know, look, it's still quite bullish. We're still holding this trend line. USD, we're looking to be quite weak. It's flopped pretty much. That's why most of the trades I sent out focused on yen pairs. You know, I was reading in basically something to do with credit, which would lead to like the devaluation of the USD, which naturally would just lean to investors on the yen being the preferred safe haven. So that's why a majority of the trades I sent out was Swissy and yen, and not so much USD trades. USD's just turned to rubble recently, so I wasn't really wanting to back it on the back of much else other than UCAD, which was setting out perfect. CADCHF, perfect trade here. no drawdown, sold it straight. How far did we get in? We got to 141 pips worth of profit there. That happened in Asian session, unfortunately. I had my stop loss set at 100 pips in deep, so I had it here. So I got stopped on this retracement for 100 pips, but not bad. Initially, I thought that was going to be a head and shoulders for me here, but it didn't. So we just basically sold it on the break of this low here. We could see that this looks like a false breakout. So this could potentially break down further here. Oil inventory is obviously quite high at the moment, which is a lot higher than what they were predicting. So oil was super weak last week. CAD followed through on that as well. Let me just double check that because I wasn't looking at oil, to be honest. So it could be. I mean, not really. So ignore that. I don't trade oil. I just read something about inventories being high. But that's still pretty bloody bullish in my mind. So ignore that. CAD was just weak across the board, which is kind of nice. I think it was just more of a safe haven, run for safe haven rather than too much CAD weakness. But yeah, CADJPY, good trade. Happy with that one. You can see we're still kind of sitting inside this channel here, especially this descending channel trend line, still very much in place. So, you never know, right? It could break, it could hold. So we just have to keep monitoring that one. Right now, we don't know. I'll see how markets open on Monday. CADJPY, another situation here. Exact same setup, selling on the break at the low. We've broken through the trend line, we're back above it here now. This trade went for our TP, which was 180, I believe. Yeah, so we adjusted the TP to 180, cocked it here on that. And then we've bounced. So that is not another bad trade. We caught it on the trend line here as well. And again, this kind of, it still looks a little bit bullish to me. We'll have to see how we hold up on next week because we could see a continuation and it just kind of retested this trend line. But that looks pretty weak. It looks like it's going to close beneath it. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was just some further downside for a bit of a deeper correction. We didn't trade that. EURGBP, pretty frustrating. We took an L on this one. So I tried to sell it down here. I basically put too shallow of a stop. I had a 15 pip stop because you can see the little. I was on the 13-minute chart, which wasn't very good. I thought this was going to be a little inverse head and shoulders, and then we would see some upside. But we didn't get that. Just we entered here. So if I was just a normal trader, if I just set this up as a normal bloody trade, we had a 15 pip stop loss. I put it here. If we just put a 40 pip stop loss, right? Normal person trading, not any of this 15, 30-minute chart stuff. And then, we drag it up. Could have been another nice 100 pip. But we took 85 pips on the sell from the right shoulder last week. So that was okay. 15 pips loss, I'll deal with that. Euro New Zealand, this was a bit of a superstar this week. Did really well. I've still got a runner running on this one. So what we were looking at here, first let's look at the daily. Why did we enter this trade? Cool. So we can see we came up to the 79 Fibonacci retracement here, but what was more interesting for me, if I can just pull this up, I don't use it very often, but we obviously had this trend line. Oh, sorry guys. We had this trend line coming into play here, and we saw a really strong engulfing daily coming off that. And then obviously on the back of my mindset, thinking we're going to get a bounce here. We're going to have some New Zealand weakness. Euro kind of was picking up, and then we obviously had this very sharp trend down here. So when trends are quite sharp like this, you find that they do break out quite often because it's not really a sustainable trend, and realistically, or else this would be a rock bottom right now. So we basically played the breakout again. Fibonacci, we entered, didn't get a pullback to the 62. We got this bouncing on the 50, the 0.5 fib. And then we entered the buy, and this one I still have running, but we closed 300 pips on that, which I was pretty excited about. Very nice trade. I do expect it to come up to retest these highs. Rule of thumb, usually when you have trend line breaks, is you do find often they retest the either the high or the low of the origin of the trend. So I'm just going to hold one. I took majority of the profits here, at this extension here. This is negative 0.62 fib. We are back underneath this line of support and resistance here, so we could see a continuation. We do have this trend line holding up a little bit here. Again, this is another sharp trend line, right? So what I'm expecting, maybe we bounce up here, close here, and kind of move around, consolidate a little bit, but we'll see. I'm just going to hold one of those positions running. EURUSD, nothing here. We got stopped on break even. Obviously, we sold it a lot early. We had this dip, moved to start stops, and we came back up. It would have hit our stop loss again, pretty much to the pip. And then obviously we've come down in continuation now. So at least we saved that one. As soon as I saw this sort of 4-hour candle close here, that's not a good sign. If we have a drop off and then you have an engulfing, that's a seller's trap right there. So it's obviously just going to trap people and pull them higher. So we moved our stops quick on that one. GA, pretty happy with GA as well. You can see it's still following the trend nicely. We've got runners coming in here. Same thing. This daily was just, it's been relentless. Look at this thing, never ending. So the bears just ripped through. And you can see that they ripped through. When they started breaking when this trend line broke, lights out. I'm kind of annoyed I missed that trade to begin with. But we drag sort of there, we caught the breakout quite nicely on the daily. Do I expect to see much continuation? To be honest, I don't know. I'm hoping we kind of found some support here and we come to make new highs up here. And then we hit our TP for 348, but we're going to have to see. Took majority of my profits again here at this fib level here. This negative 0.62 extension. It's sort of a great profit target to kind of aim for. Usually, you're quite reliable on hitting that. You can see we retested this low here before kind of rejecting it. So yeah, that'd be cool if we can break this high, break these last lows, and then cool. I think we'll be on to make some more higher highs. But let's see how that goes. Didn't trade any other GJ, didn't trade it, missed our sell limit. We had a sell here, then just dropped off. No. NJ, oh yeah, New Zealand CAD. This will stop the break even. Look at this, Jesus Christ. Oh. Look at this mess. It looked like a head and shoulders, right? Here, left shoulder, head, right shoulder at the right Fibonacci levels, down, break. Instead, it's just, this is madness. Look at this consolidation. Let's see where it goes. It's going to break that. Or wherever it breaks, get a little retest or just enter it, set your stops. But it's going to break either way, so that's one to watch. NZDJPY, not pissed off about this trade, but we had a great entry again, entered on the trend line break up there. We could have had a nice 300 pip trade there, but we took profits at 100 pips. I think I moved my stop loss once we hit 100, and we got taken out for 100 pips before continuing. Not going to cry about it. Still a great week. We're still bouncing again. So NU still in this bad boy. Pretty simple setup. My only issue is obviously we've got this channel. It was channel support. We've broken out here. We sold the initial pullback here into the 62 fib of this double top formation here. So we've seen that the double top formation are sort of retest of the double top. If we line it up here, horizontal ray, line it up here. Let's put a little magnet on. So we get that spot right. There we go. Look at that. So sexy when stuff works like that. when technicals are just smooth and they kind of just, they do what they're meant to. I like it. It makes you feel really good when you get it right. That's part of the kind of the whole thing behind this. The adrenaline when you beat the market, when you top the market, those highs are really, it keeps you going for sure. So you just got to always make sure you push through those lows. The last 2 weeks have been fucking shit. Excuse my French. But I've literally clawed back every single thing that I've lost in the last 5 days. So 3 weeks of shit trading have been completely forgotten about, and we're now exactly back to where we were after 1 week. So that's the sort of thing you always have to remember. People lose, and they get sort of put off, and then manage your risk. Set your risk. I was using 2% risk, had some shit weeks, lowered my risk to 1%, clawed it all back using lower risk. So you've just got to be agile and nimble on the market, and just make sure that you adapt. When you're on a losing streak, take a step back and kind of chill out a little bit. Last week was that for me. I still lost a little bit last week, but I didn't trade half as much. And then this week, we've got the right catalyst for the right direction, and we just nailed it. So I'm super happy about that. So yeah, I'm going to hold this. I'm going to see what happens. I had one of my homies and members of Invest asked me if I was going to hold this over the weekend. In my mind, I don't see anything crazy happening over the weekend that could cause sort of a catastrophic move across the market, unless who knows nowadays. But I'm hoping that's not the case, and I'm just waiting to see really if the day closes. If we can close, and it doesn't look like it's going to break this low today, but I'm holding 4% on this trade right now, so I'll probably close out 2% before the end of the day, and then hold the other 2%, because again, I think that this needs a retest. But it could be a really short TP here, guys. Like realistically, these Fibonacci levels are there to be set as TPs. I'm going to do a Fibonacci video, kind of running through everything for you guys. But it's still a 100 pip trade there. That could be a realistic trade, and then we could also get that retest of this channel support, now resistance, and see if we get a bounce, and then some continuation. But we're going to have to wait and see. If we draw a Fibonacci from this low here up to here, this is how the market works, right? You can see this. Look at how these levels are lining up with these levels, right? And now you can see that this 50 fib. Remember what I told you, that if it holds a 50 fib in either way, you're looking at a continuation. And we have this 50 level here, which lines up with our channel resistance and channel support. So that's where you'd want to realistically take profit. It lines up nicely with the target here in terms of the extension of the continuation. And then, it's going to be a strong area, because, this rally was hard, right? This wasn't like some necessarily a fake rally here. What we could just be seeing is a bit of profit taking. We always need to keep that in mind. So, 100 pips safe, take the profit, move your stop loss, enjoy. But hopefully we'll see if that works out. We could break, and it could be a false break. We don't know. Better safe than sorry. UCAD, yeah, this bad boy. This one, I love this one. I love it. Let's look at it from macro. I didn't do macro down on everything. Sorry, guys. But that is important. Why? Purely because, when we look at this bullish inducement here, we broke all these we broke all these highs. We're going to a weekly. You can see we've got these weekly levels here. This is a super key level. Look how many times it retested this as a resistance, and it could not break it throughout all of 2019, the whole of 2019, pretty much. We broke below it. Actually, that's a lie. But it held a support here, 2019. This is a really key level. If we drag that across, you can just see here. Look at that. Massive. It's active support, resistance, support all the way here, bloody 2018, support, resistance. So that was the key level we were waiting for on UCAD. Looking at the daily, that's our reversal right there. If you're going to enter into these these trades where you're hoping to find reversal, you're going to find it at these extreme Fibonacci levels on daily, weekly, and monthly moves. Not 4 hour. That would be like the 100 pip, 200 pip move. But if you want to catch like a move from like an explosion move, or if it's going to break, it's going to really break down. You want to be trading these levels, and you can see whenever you draw these massive Fibonacci levels, one or two of these levels, I.E in this instance, this 79 Fibonacci, which is the most extreme of this bullish breakout here, look how it lines up perfectly here. So we've got to think about big money here. Big money here is going to take their profits. Sellers are going to target this Fibonacci level on the pullback, and then buyers are going to wait to pounce on that level, because as soon as they pounce on that level, look at that risk to reward. Some of them probably got in, most of their buy limits would have been here exactly on that level. If we put a buy limit on that level, happy days, we could have had like a 20 pip stop. We had an 80 pip stop on this, but 419 pips, I think it's easily going to do it. I think it's definitely going to test the backside of this 50 fib. This could also be potentially a massive bear trap as well. If we draw this trend line here, draw this structural here, that was our channel. We could see some huge continuation here moving into next week. It's so hard without a mouse, sorry guys. You can see we're back inside this channel now. So next week, what we'd be looking for is literally here, we're sitting on it. We've got a bounce already coming off it. So we could have entered a buy here at this level here, and you would have been perfectly intersected with not only the the channel sort of support, now turned resistance, now broken through as a false break potentially, and now is retesting it again as support. You can see how that level lines up with our 62 Fibonacci retracement from from this bull break. Buyers are going to kick in again and send this pair higher. Again, you just got to look for these confluences, and that's what I use Fibonacci's for. They always have to confluence with, it's not much point just throwing, if we bought it here, flop city, right? We had a couple of bounces, but it wasn't even anywhere near the 50 fib. If we put buy limits on the 50 fib here, flop city. If we wanted to buy on the 50 fib here, we're looking like Warren Buffett stop losses, 1,000 pips here, no one has margin for that shit. So we just got to make sure we get in at these extreme levels, And I was talking to Franny about UCAD. I was posting about this for a while in the group. It was always a level I had eyes on, and we got in perfectly. This is running for good. How many pips is this now? 300 pips. Gucci, right? I'm happy with that. I'm holding this bad boy because we're going to see a bounce here, and we get a retest up here 100%. I'll look to add maybe next week should we find some support here, and then we look to find a continuation, maybe squeeze another 100 pips there. But it looks like it's going to break, to be honest, and retest this sort of low here. But yeah, that great trades this week, guys. I'm really happy about the week. Hopefully you guys are learning some of the stuff from these videos as well. What I am going to say is, if you did watch this video and you're hearing, oh shit, yeah, we've got more trade. Oh, what a week. My video is probably going a little slow at the moment. Euro yen, we caught the seller here on this low. I'm not going to go into this one too much. It was a quick 100 pips. I got taken out of it. I moved my stop loss to break even. This order. I got taken out. We moved that stop loss to break even on 100 pips. I cleared some profits here, and then my runner got taken out. Good objective for that. Again, look at this. If we do this bullish leg here, my target was the 70 was down here, but realistically, you squeeze the 200 pips out of this trade. Should it come down to retest the 62 fib? Don't have the 50 fib on it, but I'm assuming it's up here. You can see, with this breakout that we've seen, hopefully it's not lagging too much, but we've broken out of this huge, it's such an ugly line. Get off my chart. Sometimes I used to draw really thick lines. I don't know why. It's super ugly. Should redo this chart. I don't trade EJ very much, as you can tell. But yeah, we had this breakout here. We sold the pullback. You know, we had this whatever market shape this is, but we got in. So realistically, where you look to take profits here again, if you're still holding it, 62 retracement coming up to these levels here. Check that out. You know, it's found support multiple times on this low here. It's acted as a pivot here. So, you know, this is the 62 retracement. So you can see what I'd expect is a pullback to here and then find some support here on the back of this huge trend line. This is either going to be a false break or it's going to just continue. But we're going to have to wait to see how it reacts down here, but I would expect it to bounce. But it could break down as well. Like I said, it could be a false break, who knows. What else? GBPCHF, GB Swissair. Definitely took profits on this one way too early. One sec. So I was just trading the pullback. You know, people would have probably tried to buy it here as well. Should it have, you know, bounced again on this sort of channel top here. But, you know, we traded it here, traded it on the break of this low here. Great trade, 110 pips or 111 pips. If we held this bad boy, again, would have been 300 pips. But I'm not going to complain. You know, 1,500 pips nearly in the week is bloody good, you know. So I'm stoked about that. What was the other loss we took? Because we don't hide our losers. Losers are losers, but we forget about them. Gold. Oh, yeah. So this is obviously a false breakout here from gold. You know, we had this channel it was trading in. Broke down here. I tried to trade it on this 50 fib, which was the same as this trend line. Didn't work out. We got 60 pips initially, and then it just broke out and just took us out. So that was gold. Where do I see gold going? You know, it looks like it's going to continue. Maybe retest these highs up here, or maybe make a new high even. You know, it really depends. I'll be watching it next week and make a decision from there. But yeah, that's it, guys. First video is Invest Me On. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. If you've got any questions or if there's any things you'd like me to cover for content for Fibonacci's trend lines, support, resistance, price action, anything that I can kind of help you guys with on the journey, just leave a comment in the YouTube, and then yeah, I'll get on it, guys. Looking forward to it. Thanks for watching, and you know, let's kill the markets next week, everyone. Peace.